tonight is my very good friend, Paul Scott. He is a lecturer in the School of Creative Industries at the University of Newcastle, where I also work. He has a very long career in education, working in particular with Aboriginal groups in the Northern Territory, and particularly with media. Now, he's lived in Newcastle for over 20 years, but he's getting a bit of a name as the Barnaby Joyce of Newcastle, because he wasn't actually born here. But he's more passionate about the city than many of us who actually were. He's a columnist for the Herald, and he joins us now. Welcome, Paul Scott.
Thank you, Felicity, and I'll just take the opportunity to address that particular issue. It was brought to my attention in the foyer that someone on Twitter had asked if I was born in Newcastle. And apparently under Section 44 of the Novocastrian Constitution, the fact that I was not born here and do not have 4 previous generations buried at Sandgate disqualifies me from any right to call myself a Novocastrian. But nevertheless, with your permission, I'll proceed to discuss consultation and participation in decision making from the perspective of a dual citizen, but I will refrain from any voting that takes place later. So thanks for coming along. I am a passionate Novocastrian, and I guess you are too. I think that's what unites us. We care about this city, we care about its past, and we care about its future. Some people are here because they feel frustrated with the decision making that is shaping the city's future. Some of you have turned up because you believe that it's possible for things to be done differently. You're right. I don't think everyone here thinks their point of view is always the sharpest, always correct, and should always prevail. But they would like the opportunity to be involved in public consultation that is meaningful and where the parameters of discussion are not so narrowly defined as to ensure what too often can seem a predetermined outcome. I'm sure enough of us get anxious when we hear our elected and aspirational representatives utter the words open and transparent when their actions demonstrate the opposite. I'm not as pessimistic as some, but I'm not as optimistic as others about the manner that genuine and sincere dialogue can occur in Newcastle when it comes to the big decisions about this wonderful city's future. Citizen participation in local government involves ordinary citizens assessing their own needs and participating in local project planning and also budget monitoring. It's important for improving public resource management and reducing corruption by making public servants and elected representatives accountable to the citizenry. For citizen participation to work, transparency of government information is needed, as well as the inclusion of members in decision making from groups whose concerns are being addressed. I think we in Newcastle are too often accustomed to hearing the New South Wales government pull down the obfuscation curtain of commercial in confidence, cabinet in confidence, and this leads to citizens lacking in confidence. These, especially many of the processes that underpin the city's future, it's been very difficult. I've had around 17 GIPA requests from different New South Wales government departments refused in the past 3 years. Urban Growth sent me one document of 12 pages featuring 11 pages that were completely redacted. Utopia gets an honourable mention once again. I thought I was living I thought that there was a documentary series being filmed here in the city. I had some more success with documents I applied for on behalf of the Friends of Kingleton Park, which revealed the communication tactics and responses for Crown Lands to adopt when, or perhaps if, the land claim on the former bowling club site in Kingleton Park is approved. There are perhaps 2 main drivers for implementing citizen participation. 1, citizens' demand for participation. And 2, the presence of local leaders, elected representatives and public servants who wish to open up political processes to citizens. However, it is possible to view dialogue between voters and their elected representatives as very limited. One reason cited is that elected positions are captured by political elites and power groups, while voters are placed at arm's length to only communicate with them through opinion polls or market research. A second reason cited is that citizens' influence is mainly through the voting system, while the outcomes are governed by public administrators. who have policy influence due to the rise of delegation and devolution from councillors to those administrators, but who often lack grounded knowledge and may not be fully accountable for their decisions. There's a range of barriers to effective participation, including a lack of citizens' time, a lack of a trust in government, lack of information, lack of expertise, inadequate government-citizen communication, poorly defined objectives, and the exclusion of some social groups to a lack of cultural capital. Participation is also burdensome and unequal for people who are living with low incomes. Moreover, government staff and public representatives may hinder participation because they fear their irregularities may come to light. All these observations suggest that the barriers are context-specific and relate to all three of the areas discussed above: the representation system, citizens' capacity, and resources available. A significant consideration for governments engaging with citizens, and an unsurprising one, is that modern democratic societies are highly complex affairs, inextricably linked to market economics and charged with the governance of societies that are becoming increasingly pluralistic in terms of ethnic and racial mix, religious and cultural variety, to say nothing of the array of individual, personal and political values that such diversity implies. This makes involving citizens in deliberation about governance, the design of policies and services, no simple task. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it should be abandoned. There's no easy answer to achieving better public consultation. It takes time, it can cost money, it requires considerable skill in research and submission writing, especially in formal public consultation. Citizen engagement can be understood as involvement characterised by interactive processes of deliberation among citizens and sometimes organisations and between citizens and government officials to contribute in meaningful ways to specific public policy decisions in a transparent and accountable manner. Now, as is my want, and as is the opportunity provides itself, I have an observation of a 7 manifesto plan, points that may be tongue-in-cheek or may in fact be for new bureaucrats' induction processes. And I'll go through those particular 7 points. Point 1, think everything through first before you go to the community. It's important you spend months in advance doing work on your project so you can produce the best fact sheets and Gantt charts at your community engagement events. Once everyone sees how much work you've done, they'll realise it's really a waste of time to oppose it or learn anything about it. You're clearly an expert in everything and they'll feel deflated and probably go away. Even if you didn't think anything through at all, just plonk it on them and tell them any concerns need to be taken up with the project team via email. 2, specifically ask questions that invite reaction and polarise neighbours. They won't fight you if they're fighting one another. When you put all your energy into your solutions, there are only 2 types of people who get engaged. Those who strongly are in favour, we like them, and those who are strongly against, boo. There's an art to asking questions at public engagement events. Keep a sensitive face and carefully point out those wanting option red are hurting those who want option blue, and vice versa. The public will see that you're simply caught in the middle, trying to please everyone, and at least the most people. Any inconvenience to one or the other are not your fault. 3, focus all your energy on the most hyper-engaged. Some people get very passionate and care very deeply about your project or their own project, which yours will impact. They want to make sure they're heard. They have a lot to say and will say it to a lot of people. Generally, people greatly respect those most opinionated, so be sure to focus all or most of your energy on the squeaky wheels. Breakthroughs in consultation never come from the less obvious or less involved people, such as young people. Narrow your stakeholder base and highlight in your consultation report that you carefully engage with those who are most interested. Launch an education campaign. Honestly, an appreciative inquiry is a charade. The community you're engaging with doesn't have your level of knowledge and sophistication. Think of it as an empty vessel that needs to be educated. People love to be educated and thirst to learn from your expertise. Spend a lot of money on advertising and public relations experts in sharp clothing because people will hungrily soak the information in. 5, label anyone opposed to your plan as a NIMBY or a vocal minority. When you put this much thought into your project and you have the credentials to back up your plans, it's downright disrespectful and ignorant for common people to oppose your plans. Most people understand this to be sure to clear. Most people understand this, so be sure to clearly demonstrate to the silent majority that the vocal minority is opposed to everything and totally self-absorbed. Stick to the plan. Explain your Gantt chart thoroughly, and once they get it, they'll appreciate all your hard work. The reality is your organisation needs to prove a business case before it can develop plans that have ultimately brought you to this community engagement stage. That business case includes project plans and timings, a Gantt chart. Unfortunately, there are some people who attend these events that don't understand this. They're not wise, and they think plans can be changed to suit their whim. You need to outline very carefully why the Gantt chart is perfect and cannot be changed. If these people are still opposed, refer to point 5, NIMBYs and vocal minorities. The last point. Don't let anyone else feel like they have meaningful input. Remind people who are the decision makers here. Remind them, if they want to fight you on this, how time consuming and costly it is to attend regulatory or other meetings to present their case, and remind them that you have an army of lawyers and, importantly, PR people who can tell the story straight. If someone objects to the feeling that the whole project is a done deal and that the input isn't being considered, just shrug and tell them a lot of experts have put a lot of work into this and that you're only doing it to create a world-class city that is on the map. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.